Hello YouTube! We are on the Real Programming channel. It is about HTML and CSS. My name is Andrei. This is our 47th lesson. I greet you. We will talk about adjusting font size. And first, there are no dumb questions. The add font face rule doesn't really look or act like a CSS rule, does it? You might think of add font face as a built-in CSS rule rather than a rule that acts like a selector. Instead of selecting an element, add font face allows you to retrieve a web font and assign it to a font family name. The add at the beginning is a good clue. This isn't an ordinary CSS rule. There are other built-in CSS rules I should know about. There are two common built-in rules you'll see are add imported, which allows you to import other CSS files rather than a link in your HTML, and add media, which allows you to create CSS rules that are specific to certain media types, like a printed page versus a desktop screen versus a mobile phone. More on add media later. Web fonts seem great. Are there any disadvantages to using them? A few. First, it takes time to retrieve web fonts, and so your page performance might suffer the first time you have to retrieve them. Also, there is a pain of managing the multiple font face files. Finally, you may find mobile and small devices that don't support them, so make sure you always allow for alternatives in your design. Can I use multiple custom fonts with add font face? Yes. If you're using add font face to load the fonts, then for each font you want to use, make sure the font files are available on your server and create a separate add font face rule for each one, so you can give each any name. For even more on web fonts, check out the appendix. However, remember to make sure you only choose the fonts you really need in your web page. Each extra font takes extra loading time for your page, so having multiple web fonts in your page will slow down your web page. If it gets too slow, you might have frustrated users on your hands. You'll maintain services to help me with hosting web fonts. Can you say more? Sure. Font Squirrel, http www.fontsquirrel.com is a great place to find open source free fonts that you can upload to your server. Their font kits make it easy to open multiple formats of given font. Google Web Font Services. http www.google.com/webfonts is a way you can let Google do all the hard work for managing the fonts and the CSS for you. In this case, you just link to the fonts you want on the Google service, and then you use the names in your CSS. Easy. Adjusting font sizes. So, now that Tony has a new set of fonts, we'll need to work on those font sizes, as most people find the default sizes of the headings a bit large, at least aesthetically. To do that, you need to know how to specify font sizes, and there are actually a few ways to do this. Let's take a look at some ways to specify font sizes, and then we'll talk about how best to specify font sizes so they are consistent and user-friendly. If you do things right, any user will be able to increase the font sizes in your web page for readability. You'll see how in a couple of pages. px. You can specify your font size in pixels, just like the pixels dimensions you used for images in chapter 5. When you specify font sizes in a pixel, you're telling the browsers how many pixels tall the letters should be. In CSS, you specify pixel with a number followed by px. That says that the font size should be 14 pixels high. The px must come right after the number of pixels. You can have a space in between. Here's how you specify font size within a body rule. Setting a font to 14 pixels height means that there will be 14 pixels between the lowest part of the letters and the highness percent. Unlike pixels, which tell the font exactly how big it should be in pixels, a font size specified as a percentage tells the font how big it should be relative to another font size. So here's we specified by the font size in pixels, and the level 1 hidden is 150%. Says that the font size should be 150% of another font size. But which other font size? Well, since the font size is a property that is inherited from the parent element, when you specify a percentage font size, it is related to the parent element. Let's check out how that works. You can also specify font size using yum, which, like percentage, is another related unit of measure. Which yum, you don't specify percentage, instead you specify a scalar factor. Here's how you use yum. Don't mix this up with the yum element. Font size 1.2 yum. This says that the font size should be scaled by 1.2. Says you can use this measurement to specify the use size of an H2 heading. Your H2 headings will be 1.2 times the font size of the parent element, which in this case is 1.2 times 14 pixels, which is about 70 pixels. It's actually 16.8, but most browsers will be round it up to 17. Here is the H1 specified by a percentage. This. And here is the H2 specified by 1.2 yum. If we draw little document tree, you can see that H1 inherits from body, so its font is going to be 150% of the body's font size. The H1 headings is 150% of the body font size, which is 21 pixels. Since we didn't specify font size for P, it inherits the body font size of 14 pixels. Keywords. There's one more way to specify font sizes. Keywords. You can specify font sizes as XX small, X small, small, medium, large, X large, or XX large, and the browsers will translate these keywords into pixels value using the files that are definite in the browser. This typically how the various keyword sizes relative to one another. Each size is about 20% larger than the previous size, and small is usually definite to be around 20 pixels is height. Keep in mind, however, that the keywords aren't always definite the same way as every browser, but that users can redefine them if they want. And this in most browsers that will result in the body text being about 20 pixels. So, how should I specify my font size? You got quite a few choices for specifying font size, px, yum, percentage, and keywords. So which do you use? Here is a recipe for specifying font sizes that will give you consistent results for most browsers. 1. Choose a keyword. We recommend a small or medium, and specify it as a font size in your body rule. This acts as the default size for your page. 2. Specify the font sizes of your other elements related to your body font sizes using either M or percentage. The choice between M, and percentages is yours, and they are essentially two ways to do the same thing. Nice recipe. But what's good about it? By defining your fonts relative to the body font size, it's really easy to change the font sizes in your web page simply by changing the body font size. Want to redesign the page to make the fonts larger? If your body font size value is small, simply change it to medium, and voila, boiler, every other element will automatically get larger in proportion because you specified their font sizes relative to the body's font size. Better yet, say your users want to resize the fonts on the page. Again, no problem. Using the recipe, all the fonts on the page will automatically adjust. Watch it. Older versions of Internet Explorer do not support text calling when you specify the font size using pixels. Unfortunately, users of older versions of Internet Explorer cannot resize fonts if your font sizes are specified using pixels. So that's one reason to stay away from pixel size. If you use pixels, you will be reducing the accessibility of your pages for some of your users. Also, hopefully not for too much longer as users continue to upgrade their browsers. Fortunately, if you follow the recipe of supplying a keyword to define your body's font size and use relative size for your other elements using AM or percentage, then Internet Explorer will properly scale your fonts if the browser is asked to make the text bigger or smaller. And let's make these changes to the font size in Tony's web page. We will talk about this in the next lesson, and this is our 47th lesson over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Please like, share with friends, comment, eat bananas, chocolate and nuts, drink more water for the effective work of our brains. Bye.